Welcome in, everyone. We have a very special interview today. We have five-star Alabama commit Ace Austin of Spring Garden in with us today. And what we want to do with Ace today, we want to find out a little bit about her life, growing up, what life was like in Spring Garden, what led her to commit to the University of Alabama. We've followed Ace throughout her career. She's been phenomenal, not only for us and very inspirational for us as Average Joes and TV24 has grown, but to others across the state of Alabama. She's one of the most influential student athletes that we've ever come across. That goes, male or female. So, Ace, first of all, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Spending some time with us today here at TV24 in the studio. I always like to kick these kind of interviews off. People all across not only the state of Alabama, but the nation now knows who you are. You've kind of burst onto the scene nationwide. You're a household name, obviously, here in the state and many other places. But I like to rewind that clock, and let's talk about, Ace, when you were growing up. What was life like there in Spring Garden and some of your first early memories?
Yes, one early memory was always just me being at their practices, but then, me being on the side, me crawling through the middle of the court when they were in the middle of practice, but then it also switches to the late Friday nights when I'll be on the side of the football field playing, tackle football and two-hand tag football with my buddies who are now seniors now. So honestly, it goes all the way to basketball and football, just being tough growing up.
You grew up with a couple of brothers that obviously has meant the world to you and helped you along the way, this athletic journey. And we're going to get into your parents, obviously, who was very, very influential. But let's talk about your brothers first. What was those early years like when you watched them come up before you, and they were doing really well in sports and was getting coached hard by your parents and things like that? Talk about that a little bit and that experience with your brothers in those early years.
Oh yeah, it's been a fun experience, and we've had some tough experiences as well. But I do just remember always going to all their games and always, at the moment it was like you wanted time to hurry up, but now you're trying to slow time down. But at the time, being young, it was, I can't wait to when I'm where they're at right now.
Right.
And so I seen all the hard work they would put in the gym, backyard, and I mean, they had some tough moments. Them two brothers would battle, Cooper and Riley. They would go after each other. But then the older I got, I was able to get in with them, and I mean, we had some crazy backyard basketball games and tough, and there was plenty of times where I would want to go in the house, crying, and my parents, they'd be like, either you're staying in here or you're going back out there and not coming back in.
No
you better
excuses.
not crying, no crying. So that's honestly just built me to where I am, and me and Cooper, we was the ones who always butted heads. Riley, he was the one that was always on my side, but they definitely shaped me into who I am today.
Yeah, because you had a double dose. You had two brothers you had to go back continue with.
Yes.
Kudos to your mom and dad for saying, hey, you wanted in the battle, so now you got to go finish it out.
For sure.
Let's talk about your mom and dad, and we could sit here and do a whole show on what they've meant for you coaching, but as we're tracking along on this interview, we're talking about the early years here.
Yeah.
You got to watch them coach and mold and teach not only the sport of basketball or it be volleyball, whatever, but they taught people how to be better girls, better boys, moving forward in life. Talk about the early days and some of that foundation learning you learned from them.
For sure. One thing he always said was be a better teammate, be a better person. And that's, being a better person is, more important than just being a better teammate. Being a better person takes you a long way in life. And I can remember being as a kid sitting in the locker room with him and all the players on senior night, and I was 4th grade and below, and it was always, once you leave here, I want the lesson that you've learned to help you be a better wife, a better mom, teacher, whatever you are in life. So I've always took what he said and always applied it, not just to basketball, but in life perspective. And we always have, former players come back and talk to us, and they always talk about how practice was hard, practice was tough. It was like military training, and they said, but they're where they are today because of him and what he's taught them during practice, and always having the good attitude. If you don't have a good attitude in life, you're not gonna make it real far in life.
That's right.
So that's one thing that I've always learned, growing up, hearing the other players come back and talk. So I'm glad that he's taught them plenty of things in life and that I get to hear it from both sides of the view.
One of the best things I like about you, and I just call it what it is, I'm just an honest person. It's not always cool nowadays to be open and talk about Christianity,
Yes.
but you are, and
sure.
you have. And I've really admired that about you, stepping out on that limb, because nowadays, a lot of people don't think that's cool anymore. And,
Right.
My church, we had a men's meeting last week, and we talked about, hey, just because you're a Christian don't mean you have to be meek and mild and like that, but being out there, learning that, growing up in that environment, talk about
For
that,
sure.
because that's more important than anything.
Yes. My parents have always done a great job, though, telling me, God's always first. You don't put anything else. And that's one reason I'm second on my basketball shoe that somebody actually took a picture of. And that's just a reminder that God's first, I'm second, or others are second. You're never first. You're either second or third. So that's just not just for me, but it's for others to, have that point of mind. But, nobody's where they are in life without God.
That's great.
And, we've all been blessed with the opportunity and, where we're at in life. We've been blessed with, just amazing people, how you are, and the ability to play the sports that many people love.
That's right.
So you always got to be the good example, and the little kids always look up to you, and not just who you are, but your Christianity standpoint.
And what you do.
So, yes, and what you do. So that's very important to always keep God first, and that will take you a long way, farther than you think it will if you just keep Him first.
There's no doubt that those core values, and you learn those at an early age coming up through church. So that's a blessing all in itself.
Sure.
And as you said, there's always eyeballs watching you
Yeah.
at any time. I want to dive into the sports aspect a little bit. Who in those early years was some of the girls, or it could have been a male athlete out there that you were watching at Spring Garden that you were like, man, that's my idol, like that dude. Because you see the Michael Jordans on TV, or you may see Kobe or whoever it may be, but those hometown heroes to me as a child mean more because you can see them, you can talk to them. So who was some of yours?
Well, funny story is, now it's like everybody's came into our family now. You have, and some teachers, Draven and Dylan.
Yep.
It's like I grew up with Riley. And Cooper and all their buddies, which was Draven and Dylan who married my cousin Peyton.
Gotcha.
So really it's things like that. I grew up with my brothers, so I was stuck to be with them. And I would always go to the gym with them, and guess who was there? Draven, Dylan, all them, Ashton, all them were there. And not many people know who they are, but I'm sure they'll see this video sometime.
Yeah,
they'll know. And so it was always, because they always had to show some cool moves and stuff. So it was just like, I wasn't the kid to just watch YouTube and watch TV. I'd like to watch who was in front of me. And that's also to my, my other cousins, Peyton, AJ, and Madison. They have plenty of state championships, and obviously I learned from them. And I didn't play basketball with them growing up, but it was always my brothers. But there was plenty of other sports and just, being tough that they taught me. So, I wasn't the one to, I would watch some Steph Curry every now and then, but
Gotcha.
I like to follow the footsteps of who's in front of me. So that would have to be all my family.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they'll mean more.
Yeah,
they're
for sure.
They're even closer to you than somebody who was just so happened to be at the school.
Yes.
And there's a story your dad tells, and I don't know what grade you were in, maybe 5th or 6th, when you were a manager and they lost that really close state championship game.
Yes.
And he was kind of down and out. Everybody was down and out, walking back to the bus. Can you tell that story on air if you don't mind?
I think I was in fifth grade, and obviously I probably cried just as hard as the players did, because it seemed like I was one of them players as well.
Did you understand the hurt at that age?
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
Understood it?
I I would cry for days at home, and Mom and Daddy would have to be like, "It's okay, like we're gonna get past it." And so we was walking through that long tunnel that everybody walks, getting to the BJCC, and everybody had their heads down walking. You could tell he was pretty upset. It was a heartbreaking ending to that game. It was one of them games, and I remember walking up to him saying, I was like, it's fine. We're going to be back down here plenty of years, and we're going to win it. And you could tell that gave him a little more motivation and to know, I mean, you just got to move on. So, I mean, I'm glad that moment happened because it came true.
Yeah, because he said it meant a lot to him for you to do that. And he said, I remember talking to him, but just he and I were talking one day. This wasn't no interview or nothing. He was talking about, I seen and felt the sincerity in her voice, like she wasn't playing. Like, this is going to happen. All right, let's rewind the clock. And I remember the first night I ever watched you play in person. Y'all were playing a team that won the 3A state championship that year. It was Collinsville.
Yes.
And y'all were playing them. At
Champions
that night. Yeah. And I remember watching you warm up. I didn't know who you were. And I was like, that's cool, man. Coach is letting his daughter warm up with the team. Well, then the starting lineup rolls out there, and you roll out there, and I'm like, and I start watching you play, and I was like in shock. This is 7th grade. You were a 7th grader then.
Yes.
Let's talk about that year. What did your dad tell you? Because now you're eligible to play varsity. You're on varsity. You're logging heavy minutes. What was his message to you when you started that year?
Well, really, he wasn't going to treat me like a 7th grader. I mean, he told me, I'm not treating you like my daughter. I'm not treating you like a 7th grader. I'm going to treat you like you're, and you can't treat me like a 7th grader or I'm not going to make any progress. I mean,
makes sense.
I mean, you got to be just as tough on me as you was them seniors that year. And it was. I mean, it was. And there was plenty of nights that I had to sit back and just, know that it's for the future. It's not for right now. I mean, I'm getting pushed hard because he knows he has high expectations for me. But one memory I also remember was the state championship game my 7th grade year, and we was down at halftime to St. Luke's, and he said, "You better start scoring or we're going to lose." And I was like, oh, dang. I better start scoring.
It's a lot of weight for a 7th grader.
So I remember them words really kicked into me, and I ended up having a really big second half, and we ended up winning it. So just because I was a 7th grader, he had just as much confidence in me, and because he knew I was still going to put in the hard work in the gym. So 7th grade, I go back and look at pictures and look at how tiny I was.
Yeah, you had a headband on the whole nine.
I had shorts all the way down to my knees. And it's funny to go back and look at that. But not many schools, they would have the seniors that would still look up to a 7th grader and who would listen to a 7th grader. But I was blessed with the teammates and the seniors that year, and one of them was my cousin, that would listen to a 7th grader, because really, who's gonna listen to a 7th grader?
That's right.
But I was blessed to have such amazing teammates that year.
I think it goes back to the culture that your family's built there. Your dad, your mom, and all. Talk about that. It's not. People see this and they see the commitment to Alabama. What people don't see, before we dive a little bit later in your career, they don't see the work you girls put in.
Right.
Y'all are doing the same lifts as the Spring Garden guys.
Yes.
So it's a very successful program and everything.
Yes.
Talk about the amount of stuff people do not see at Spring Garden.
Oh, yeah. Towards the end of our 6th grade year and on, it was you're in the weight room and you're doing, really 7th grade and up, you're all doing the same workouts. Obviously, you're not going to be doing as much weight, but it was, we're going to be tough, and that we're not going to let that be one of our weaknesses. And in my 6th grade, 7th grade years, I had Coach Howard and football coach,
Jason Howard,
and he would just come up and, smack you on the back, let's go lift some weights, and you'd be like, dang, that hurt a little bit, just a little kid right there. But that's one thing is every coach there pushes you.
It's a family.
It's a family. Just like if you're walking down the hall one day and you look down, they're gonna be like, get out of your mood, all right?
Yeah.
So
it's time to roll.
Oh yeah, but everybody there enjoys putting in the work though. Not many schools are fully built of everybody having that work ethic to put in, and everybody's going to enjoy the weight room, and that's one thing that I really do enjoy. I'll go up there and work out 2 times a day. It's just something that's, I would have to say Coach Howard helped me be able to enjoy the weight room. He always pushed me, and he was always, you're not going to be that scrawny 7th grader, are
That's
you?
Right.
And that's one thing that's always stuck with me till now. And that's why I enjoy putting in the work that even the boys are doing, even if college people are doing it now. I enjoy it.
You don't mind, it's already second nature.
Yes.
All right, I've been and I've watched you host, 6 different state championships, but I've also been there in your last 2 playoff losses, and those being to Pisgah at Jacksonville during that great run that Coach Ellison had, with Molly Hurd and them. I remember your 8th grade year, the story that Coach Ellison talked about. I don't know who it was that was guarding you. It wasn't Chloe Womack, it was someone else, but I can't remember. But they had designated, I don't know, have you heard this story?
I don't know how.
He had designated a girl to guard you, face guard you, and guard you all over the court. And when the game was over, and they pulled out a victory right there at the end, Callie Tinker hit a 3 to send it in overtime. Everybody was happy and celebrating, and that girl was not happy or really celebrating much. She went in the locker room and she kicked her shoes off, and Carrie said that the bottoms of both of her feet were covered in blisters from guarding you everywhere.
I heard that story.
A true story. Carrie Ellison told me that one day when I was interviewing him in an interview before, and he was like, and this is when she was in 8th grade.
Yes.
So, like, I can't remember which girl it was he had dedicated to just guard you.
I know who she is. I can't think of her name, but
she, everybody's, and he told me that, and I was like, to me, coming from a guy, with as many championship rings and the run he's been on, you're an 8th grader. When you hear things like that, well, how does that make you feel? I mean, that's kind of a unique story.
It is. I have never heard that story, but it definitely does just give you a little bit of wow. Like, I mean, 7th grade, and that was one thing he remembered, and that was a tough game, tough loss. But
you had, I think, 30 or 28 or 30 or something like that game. And I remember you lost that one. You was really upset. But the most upset I've ever seen you was the next year when you were a freshman.
Yes.
And Neely was in there with you guys, and you guys lost, and y'all were devastated.
Yes.
But I remember seeing, and I remember, you probably don't even remember this, you said, we're not going to let this happen ever again. I don't know if you remember that.
I actually do remember that.
Take us back. What did you learn through those 2 games? And then when you said that, you were not playing. I remember you saying that specifically in that room at Jacksonville. But the floor is yours to kind of take over. What did you learn from those losses? And you saying that was a bold statement, but it came true.
Yeah. Well, losses like that, you just got to build from it. And talking about really is just all the little moments in the game there, and also just the more work you needed to put in. I mean, really. And I do remember that 9th grade year. That one hurt for us most because, I mean, we had the confidence that we were going to win that game. And that was just one of them games where you thought, if this was our year to beat Pisgah, like if we was going to beat Pisgah one year, this was going to be our year to beat Pisgah. And that one just hurt the worst because you thought you were going to win and you didn't. So I learned from it, and I was like, okay, I'm tired. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of it.
You was tired that day.
I was tired of it, and it wasn't going to happen again. And I hated having to go home after that and thinking, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
And that's one of them things that's during one of them games where it's win or go home. There's no practice. I mean, if you lose, there's no practice the next day. And that's one of the things where when it gets to that time of the season, you've got to give 101% every game because there's no going back to practice after that.
Can't hit reset.
Right. So that's one thing I learned from it, and I think since I had the feeling, everybody around me knew what the feeling was of you needed to give all you had. And that's how it was in our playoffs this year and every other year. And because we had to play good Skyline teams in the championships. And so we knew if we didn't give it 101%, then we probably wasn't going to win. That's just one thing that I learned from them 2 losses.
The next year would have been your sophomore year. I remember when you won it, you then turned around and said, I said last year, we're not letting this happen again, so we didn't. You won that one. Then you turn around and do something that was incredible. You win the volleyball state championship. You beat Addison, and that was a feat, absolute incredible feat coming out because how dominant they had been.
For sure.
I don't want to skip over that. Let's talk about that. When you went in and played Addison, What was that like when y'all finally got over that hurdle? And
Yes.
that was not the state championship game, correct?
That was semifinal. Okay, so we had been. It was like Addison was in the headlights all season. It was Addison, 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 and we knew if we did what we could do, we would meet up with Addison in the semifinal game. And that moment finally gets there, and our team went and ate lunch, and I don't think any of us took a single bite of our food. I mean, it wasn't that we was nervous. We was just like
focus.
You had the butterflies, and you really just couldn't eat. Yeah,
Gotcha.
You knew that. Obviously, you knew the pressure was on them, but we knew that we could win. And I remember my brothers texting me, and they like to joke around. They like to motivate me, and so every now and then one of them would be like, "Oh, y'all are gonna win 3-0," and I'm just like,
"This dude, you're crazy.
You're crazy." And then I was like, "You might be crazy, but that'd be nice." And they was like, "Fine, you're gonna lose 0-3," and I was like, "Okay, well that one's not happening."
That's not happening either.
And actually, it was Riley that had texted me and said, "You're gonna win 3-0," and dude don't know nothing about volleyball. I mean, really, he don't know nothing about volleyball. But we was warming up on the court, and so it was time for us and Addison to walk over, and them lights are bright.
Oh yeah,
and
no doubt.
All you could hear was Addison's fans. I mean, our fans were quiet at the time, and all you could hear was their fans, and it was kind of the moments I was like, dang.
Yep.
And it was.
This is real.
Yes, but then you could tell we wasn't nervous, but we had that look on our face, and that's when we had to come together and realize,
kind of like you're going to war.
Yeah,
honestly.
And realize, we're made for this moment or we wouldn't be here. And so the game was a battle every set, and we did end up winning 3-0.
Which is incredible.
Which is incredible. And that was just, but then that state championship was hard just because you had to forget about the Addison game, which was probably an upset.
That's right.
And so
to refocus.
Yes, and that was just hard to refocus because you knew you were in good shape to win the state championship, but if you was just overlooking this game, they could steal it from you.
Still got to refocus.
So we ended up winning the state championship game too, and that was a great feeling because not everybody just thought we was a basketball school. All they do is basketball, basketball, basketball. That's what they think. But all volleyball season, we do not touch a basketball. And many people think, they do basketball 24/7 every day. But, I'd go up there on my own to shoot. I mean, that's just who I am. But we would not touch a basketball all volleyball season. And we would get a few days off after volleyball season and then start basketball. So, we're dedicated to the sport we're in. And so I'm glad that people kind of realized that we wasn't just a basketball school, that we could do it in volleyball too.
You bust through and you win that one, and then you turn around and win another one. Then you turn around and you win 2 more basketballs.
Yes.
You've got 6 state championships. You're committed to the University of Alabama. You got your 5th star. I don't know if did you know it was a 5-star until I posted that day?
I did not. I did not.
I found out and I was like, man, I don't even know if she knows this.
I did
and I
not.
posted it. But I was just like, it's all happened so fast for you.
For sure.
What's that been like? How have you slowed this thing down to realize what you've accomplished in this time frame?
Really, it hasn't even been able to slow down because now that the season's over, you've got, I have a few more awards come in, and it's really like it just hasn't slowed down. And I try to, after basketball seasons, since I committed, I've tried to, realize that, just slow things down, but then you get right into AAU season, so there's no slowing it down. So, to be honest, I haven't slowed down and got to think about,
You still stay busy.
Oh, yeah.
Then we could keep you here all night and talk about this, but the University of Alabama, Coach Curry, she's a special person. It's a special place. To be honest with you, I'm not an Alabama fan under any stretch of the imagination, but she makes me like that place. Just being around her and talking to her has been incredible. Getting to know her through your recruiting. Talk about that and what led into that commitment to the University of Alabama.
Yes, it was. They recruited me. they recruited me pretty heavy, and they wasn't the coaches that they would push you to try and go there, but they wasn't like some schools that were just gonna make you feel forced. Yes, make you feel forced, and that's one thing that always brought my attention, and and to me it always it was the conversations we had.
Gotcha.
And they did not talk about basketball really with me when I get on the phone with them. And that's one thing that really stood out to me. I mean, they wanted to know about how my parents were, what are me and my friends doing after school every day, what are you doing on your free time, what do you like to do, what do you like to do instead of basketball.
Yeah, tell us about Ace.
So that was, still, it's not all about basketball. It's
Correct.
just asking, are you going fishing every day still after,
something.
And so that's one thing that always stood out to me, and you could tell that it wasn't just, they didn't only care about me, they cared about my family.
For
and
sure.
that's important to me, and that just shows that they had a big family, atmosphere there, and a big Christianity group right
That's
there.
huge.
Yes, and that's what you look for, that's what you need, and she's supporting me so much, and that's the importance.
We've got about 2-3 more minutes here. I want to talk to you about a few more things. You've changed the outlook of girls basketball. To me, you've kind of set a different standard. You've proved that you can be a household name. You've proved you can be a 5-star. You've proved you can do it at a smaller A school. There's a different standard since you come through. It's incredible what you've done for the game. What does that mean when people tell you that? You probably heard that, but I'm assuring you it's a different thing. You've even changed the way we cover student athletes.
Yeah, it means a lot. And growing up and seeing that women's sports didn't get a lot of coverage, and knowing that obviously it ain't just me that has changed that. There's plenty of other good girls that have came through, but knowing that I've had a big impact on it, it means a lot, because it shows about how shows you how much other people are interested in you, and not just your basketball abilities, but how you are and the way you treat others. And that's one thing with me, having little kids come up to me after every game, no matter where I'm at. Knowing that
you've got guys in the Final Four trying to find you at hotels now, wanting an autograph and pictures and
stuff. I know it. Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. But one story that always sticks with me is a girl who hated basketball. A little girl who said she never wanted to play basketball in her life, but then comes up to me and says, "I want to play basketball now because of you." So that just shows that how much I've had an influence on the children, and even all the grown-ups too. And I'm just blessed to be where I'm at.
I'm going to ask you, we got 2 minutes left. Your dad and mom, I'm kind of give you the floor to talk about them, because a lot of people don't know exactly what all your mom does behind the scenes, even supporting her husband, who is the coach at Spring Garden, but Ricky Austin. But talk about both of them.
Yeah. I guess you could say that's just a true dynamic duo there. Dad wouldn't be where he's at without Mom.
He calls her his DC, his defensive coordinator.
Oh yeah. When it's defense time, she says, "All right, time for me to take the floor. You get at it. You step
That's
off."
awesome.
And that's how it is. And they've worked together. They're a true dynamic duo.
On and off the court.
On and off the floor. And once we leave the floor, they don't really talk about it. It ain't basketball. It's
they
just
take the coaching hats off.
Yes, and
awesome.
They've done a great job at that, and just being just great. I guess you say great parents to us teammates. It ain't just all coaches, and they've always been there for all of us, and on and off the floor and in life. So they've been great people for me, awesome people for everybody, and I have the best coaches, I can say, but even better parents.
We got about 20 seconds here, Ace. The city of Spring Garden, what has it meant to you, and what do you hope to leave them with?
Oh, yeah. The best community I could ever ask for. They mean everything to me. I would not be where I'm at without them, and I can't even give enough words to Spring Garden,
We could be
but
here all day
yeah,
with
we
that.
could. But Spring Garden is forever home, even if they don't think that. I'll always say that, but Spring Garden's forever home.
Ace, I really appreciate you. I wish we had more time today, but this has been phenomenal, and I know everybody's going to want to see this. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Ace Austin, 5-star commit from the University of Alabama and Spring Garden, Alabama's homegrown hero.